look what I found. It is the original full story of Pirate Penguin, the book written by my son Hunter McNeil Ali and illustrated by Nikki Martin. Now, a lot of people ask, especially children, they ask, how did a story become a story? How did you write a story that becomes a book? And I'm going to talk you through how. So as you can see, this is Hunter's written down story of Pirate Penguin with some illustrations as well along the way. This was written in November 2023, but actually it started before this. So I'm going to talk you through the stages. So in October 2023, when Hunter was 8, we went to the Natural History Museum and we drew penguins. There was a stuffed penguin, it was a chin strap penguin, and this one's my copy. So I was sat next to Hunter and I drew this. I'm actually very proud of this. I don't really call myself an illustrator. And Hunter drew this, which was great, and learned a lot about sort of the different techniques of drawing, and called their penguin Flipper. And then Hunter thought, oh, that would be a really cool idea for a story. What if Flipper was a pirate? So on the back of my drawing, there's a drawing of a penguin as a pirate. And I think Hunter did this a couple of days later, or maybe that afternoon, the same afternoon. So then a couple of weeks later, we went to see Ian Eagleton at the Tate Britain. Ian was launching his book, and we went to see that book reading. We were a bit early, and basically we went to the children's area, and there was a big A3 sort of like paper. It was blank with a grid on it. I'm not putting this in any order because I can't remember. And Hunter decided to draw up basically the story of Pirate Penguin as a storyboard. And as you can see, there's lots of different things. And I think this is really helpful, especially when you're just starting out, you're just trying to figure out what the story is about. And you can use pictures and you can use words. So that's a really great way of basically figuring out what your story is. And what we did, as you can see, is we cut it up so that Hunter could then, decide, actually, we want the whirlpool to be a bit earlier on. This is the map. Actually, we took out this storyline about a snow petrel, so we took that out. So it really helped Hunter sort of understand what's the skeleton of the story, how do we want to tell this story. So then once Hunter had their story, they then wrote it down. So as you can see, this is the original story in its entirety. It still starts with Flipper finding a note in a bottle, says what the note says, and they've still got the sea monster. But this is where Hunter's starting to structure the story into, they tried this, and then they tried this. So the power of 3. And when we were talking through this storyboard, I was talking to Hunter about the power of 3 in stories. And so they basically incorporated it into that. And then there was the whirlpool story, and then what happens at the end where they have this big fight and save the chinstrap penguins from the volcano. So pretty much that's 80% of the story. I think also Hunter used this also once they've really figured out the story. This is where we started looking at how it would look on the page. So, what does this actually mean in terms of page numbers? And I think this was a bit later on when we started to talk to Nikki, the illustrator. So after Hunter wrote this in their book, I then asked Hunter to write it up on the laptop. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of versions of Pirate Penguin in here. And we went through lots of iterations of the book. And then the magic, of course, is getting an amazing illustrator like Nikki and bringing your characters to life. So that's how Hunter made a book.